Okay, let's get started. Here we are in the 17th century, 1605. And this one here, this is Noah, a 19-year-old orphan. He hails from a country particularly well known in this era of history, the Netherlands. The world was witnessing the booming spice market, leading to the famous trade routes between Europe and Asia. This brought immense wealth. Okay, a little more. A bit more. Just a bit more. More! But as with all businesses, everything comes with a risk. Pirates, eager to plunder and pillage the merchant ships. And for some reason, they all go by the name of Jack Sparrow. Storms and the power of the ocean could also wash away all profits. The presence of diseases was also quite common and highly destructive. Noah was an orphan. Even though he didn't have parents to help him in any way, he had some money saved up through his efforts and cleverness. Like many other Dutch individuals, he also began financing boat voyages in search of returns. However, due to the risks mentioned earlier, many of these journeys ended up at the bottom of the sea. But one day, for the sake of stability, the Dutch government had an idea. They offered Noah a monopoly in the market. This way, he could undertake dozens of trips a month, reducing the risk since he wouldn't be putting everything into a single venture. At the end of the day, combining successful and failed trade routes would lead to profit and stability for the country. Naturally, Noah was overjoyed. However, in exchange for this benefit, he had to bear some of the country's responsibility, such as military defense and diplomacy. Yet, there was one thing missing to make this possible. Noah was used to and could only afford one trip a month, but now with the monopoly on trade routes, he needed a few more boats. Where could he get the money? Banks were unwilling to lend money due to the substantial investment.
Nope.
Fearing that the Portuguese and Spanish might dominate the seas again. There was only one solution left. Noah had a brilliant idea: to ask for money from investors or even workers, so that he could gather enough funds to buy the boats. In return, he would offer a percentage of the future profits the company could potentially make. And so it happened. With 6 million guilders from around 1,100 investors, he built one of the largest companies in the world, providing employment for thousands of families. This is the story of the first publicly traded company in history, the Dutch East India Company, or Verenigde, also known as VAK. The story isn't entirely accurate in terms of how it happened, but it's simplified to convey the concept of stocks. What is a stock? It's a percentage ownership of a company. In other words, it's the right to a portion of the company's profits, and this ownership can be exchanged with another person for a certain amount of money. This ownership doesn't have to be total. If a pizza is worth $10 and is divided into 8 slices, and I want to buy or sell just one slice, I'll pay or receive only 12.5%, or $1.25. And now that we understand what a stock is, why are there stocks worth hundreds of dollars and others worth just pennies? First, it's important to realize that a higher stock price doesn't necessarily mean that the company's value is also higher. This is because of the number of shares the company is divided into. Let's take Apple or Apple Pizza and Netflix or Netflix Pizza. We can see that despite Apple having a lower stock price, because it has many more slices, it's worth 15 times more than Netflix. And why do stock values keep changing? Those red and green things can be quite intimidating. The value of stock is primarily based on 2 factors. A stock goes up when there's an appreciation of its value. This happens when investors become more interested in the company due to its earnings and growth prospects. On the other hand, a stock goes down when there's a depreciation of its value. This occurs when interest wanes because of decreased profits in the present or a less favorable future. This mechanism has led to the growth of many of the world's largest companies, like Apple in 1980, valued at $1.8 billion on the day of its IPO, and now worth over $3 trillion. These investors have contributed to these companies being able to produce and offer high-quality products, improving our quality of life. Just like Noah did with the Ark. Although he faced the challenge of growing up without a mother or father, he had a remarkably happy life filled with riches. He shared this life with his fantastic wife and had 8 children. The family he never had in the past was finally created. An entrepreneur and father whom everyone admired, seen as a role model for ambition and humility. In 1620, in a strange shipwreck not far from the coast, with around 100 crew members, Noah was the sole victim. His body simply vanished, never to be seen again, believed to have been dragged to the depths of the sea. A year later, a letter strangely arrived in the hands of the governor. The author of this letter had one final wish at the time of his death: that his house not be destroyed and serve only one purpose, and one purpose only: the care and shelter of orphaned children. Signed, Noah.